Good evening, everybody, and welcome here to the Sports Talk Network, specifically here to Talking Packers with Steve, as we are to talk about what was the wild card week, what is Divisional Round. Also, thanks or welcome to those that are watching live on YouTube or on X, formerly known as Twitter. Let alone watching audio version on Spotify. Just search Talking Packers with Steve there as well for the audio side of things. But like I said, tonight we have some great guests. We have guests representing the 49ers, the Cowboys, and also a guest representing the Green Bay Packers. But first, let me introduce our co-host. First, from sunny Florida, AJ. AJ, how you doing this week?
Good. Good to be back in warm weather. So, yeah.
And you already started up classes?
Yeah. We first class was started yesterday, so back into the swing of things. So. Good to be back, though.
Okay. And let's welcome our new fellow co-host, now a team of three, Mary. Mary, hey, how you doing this evening? And hey, welcome to the team.
It's cold in Florida. I don't like it.
It is.
I'm doing good though.
It is. It actually is. It's chilly, but it's not. It's not like -4 like back home. So this is. I'll take this.
True.
What exactly is the temperatures where you guys are at?
It was only like in the 50s today. Honestly, I think right now it's probably like 55 or something.
For me, it's 60.
But yeah,
okay,
probably right there.
There you go. I think right now here we're at 14, but it's all right. We survived. We're used to it. But anyways.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, welcome to you guys being here. As AJ is every single week. Mary here starting this week. And next week we might actually have Emily with us on this show. So we'll certainly see how that goes. She was reaching out to me earlier. But let's get into it. So we have a great guest coming up. We can be able to be on. Where's that coming? All right, sorry about that. All right, but anyways, let's welcome our guest representing the San Francisco 49ers. If this works, come on. There we go. Mark Adams, how you doing this evening, sir?
How's it going?
Good.
Going well.
Good.
And let's just jump right into it. Like you said, we have this big game, the continuation of what is a great rivalry between the Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers over the years, whether from back in my era and back in my day with Brett Favre versus Steve Young, to what was Jimmy Garoppolo versus Aaron Rodgers, matchups in the playoffs and regular season and otherwise. But let's start with our guest heading into this game. You guys being the number one seed, earning that spot, and watching the Packers in their demolition of Dallas. What are your guys' thoughts? Your thoughts personally, and your view in regards to hearing from fellow Niners fans of how you think you guys are going to do this time against now Jordan Love-led Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I think that for the most part, what I'm hearing is really good things about Jordan Love. I remember watching him early in the season and kind of seeing a young guy who was inconsistent, maybe would make a terrible throw on one play and then follow it up with something that would make me go, whoa, that was pretty. And so it seems like right now he's playing a lot more consistently. And then I think that with that running game, that definitely helps. I saw a statistic that when Aaron Jones gets 100 yards or more, that Jordan Love plays well, the Packers win. When he doesn't get 100 yards or more, then Love's not as good, and the Packers aren't winning as much. Now, y'all would know that more than I would. That's just something that I saw. I think I saw it on Twitter or something like that. But yeah, I think that what I've seen from 49ers fans this week has kind of been the extremes. It's been we're going to beat them by 50. And then it's been the other side that, oh my gosh, I'm scared. How are we going to stop Jordan Love? But mostly it's been kind of in the middle that, look, if the 49ers play their game, they're going to win. And so as long as they don't turn the ball over, if they can stop the run, slow down Aaron Jones, make the Packers one-dimensional, and don't turn the ball over, then they should be fine. I think that's probably where most fans are at, but there are those that are in the two extremes. Just like I've seen a lot of Packers fans this week who have been, we're going to kill the 49ers and that team's overrated and Brock Purdy's not any good. And all he does is turn the ball over, which he threw 11 interceptions this season, which is the same that Jordan Love threw. So I don't really know why people think that Brock Purdy's terrible, but so I think that it's pretty balanced. I mean, we respect the Packers and the organization and the history. We hate the Cowboys, so we were rooting for you over the weekend. And so always happy to see Dallas lose. And then, we had it great. We had Dallas lose. Then we had the Rams. We hate them too. And then we had the Seahawks that didn't even make the playoffs. So it's been a good last week or so for us. But, hopefully things go our way. But I know that you're hoping things go your way.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm muted. Thank you. But before we continue this conversation, I did want to also add in a fellow Packer fan and other guest of this fine show for this episode, Matt Ramage.
What is
There we
up?
go.
What's up?
Hello, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I have a few brews. You know what I mean? We're having a good time.
So, regards to
Wisconsin
Marcus,
way.
yeah. But in regards to what Mark was saying, in regards to this game, his side of things, his pulse on the 49er fan base and Niners gang and Niners Nation, Matt, from your fan base, from fellow Packer fans, yourself, talking to or just hearing from, what is your pulse on your end and your thoughts in regards to heading into this game facing off the 49ers? A team that is our bugaboo. We're trying to get over the hump. We don't have Rodgers anymore. We have Jordan Love now. Will this young team collapse at the worst time? Where we had a great game against Dallas, but now the Niners are going to chop us up. So what was your own, thoughts, let alone thoughts that you've been receiving in your own world on your show and otherwise?
All right. So what I've been seeing, and first of all, shout out to Mark. I've been hearing mostly about I haven't seen many Packer fans say we're gonna blow them out, because a lot of Packer fans are kind of scared. But I agree with what he's saying. Is there's extreme spectrum, and then there's a crazy. A lot of Packer fans we don't have a chance. We don't have this and that. But everyone said that last week too against the Cowboys. So, and I know that they're not the same. People are well, the Niners ain't the Cowboys. They're not the same, and no team is the same. But the Niners are the number 1 seed for a reason. But the Cowboys were the number 2 seed for a reason too. These are good teams. The Packers started off slow, they were way up and down. First year starter, that was what we all expected. Really didn't. A lot of fans didn't expect to get into the playoffs, but the Packers have been playing hot. I'm excited, and then the Niners have been the Packers' nemesis. Whenever we get into playoffs, and we're playing the Niners, it's I was at that Niners game, that playoff game at Lambeau. I was hammered.
Man.
That was cold. Yeah, I was in second row. That's one of my favorite games, even though we lost. It was an absolute party. When that punt happened, that punt block, I was right there, and I was just in shock. I was just how does this happen right here? But I think most fans are kind of in the middle, like he was saying. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think anyone's going to blow out anyone unless the Packers have a total collapse. I just don't see it. Jordan Love is playing so good right now. This team is so confident. The defense is playing extremely better. I remember Matt LaFleur a few weeks ago, when this defense was really struggling. Everyone's fire Joe Barry right now, Christmas time and all that, where he said, I'm going to have a bigger pulse on this defense. I feel since then they've been pressuring the quarterback better. They've been bringing some stuff. Defense has been playing better. The Niners are no team to play with. The one thing I think about the Niners is that I think that they sat their players that last game of the season, and then they had the bye week. And as a Packer fan, I've seen that where we've kind of had that bye week, and then we just come out and we're just dead. And that's my hope. I'm just hoping to the football gods that the Niners come out a little bit rusty, and the Packers can get a lead, because I think that was huge for the Packers against the Cowboys, is they got a lead.
Mhm.
And then mistakes started happening. Cowboys were trying to do some stuff. I don't think that it's gonna go the same way. I don't think at all. I think that the best Packers can hope for is that it's a battle, and that there are some mistakes that aren't on the Packers. And the Packers have a young kicker too, who's been missing extra points, and so I think that with people thinking it's gonna be a close game, the kicker is gonna be huge. So I think it's gonna be a close game. I don't think I've seen many Packer fans too arrogant where they think it's going to be a blowout, but I know that they're probably out there. A lot of Packer fans that I have, like, especially on Facebook, because Facebook is the most negative place in all of social media. Everyone is like the world's ending. A lot of them are saying the Packers don't have a chance. I think they have a chance, but I think nobody on this Packers team is like thinking that the Niners are like slouches. They're the number 1 seed. They've been the team that everyone's saying is going to win the Super Bowl all year, and but I think that they're going to come to play. I think that this Packers team wants to come out and show this isn't the Aaron Rodgers Packers. This isn't, and not that it's slight of Aaron Rodgers, but this is a different team. That 0-4 is not this team. This is Jordan Love. This is Aaron Jones. It seems to be pretty healthy. Jair Alexander, I think is going to play. I think I saw that he's better this year or this week at this point than he was last week at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll be huge. But the Niners offense isn't on both sides of the ball. They're not something to like. They're not no one's slouch. So the Packers have to come. They have to play mistake-free football and just come at it. And I think that this team is just jacked up. I feel like they have all the confidence in the world. So I think it's going to be an absolute battle.
Oh, yeah, definitely going to be back and forth. AJ, what are your thoughts in regards to heading into this game?
I think our hope all lies in Joe Barry's hands once again. If Green Bay can slow down Christian McCaffrey just a little bit and make Brock actually beat them, throw the ball a little more, get pressure on him, stop their screen passes and all that, I think they're going to have a really good chance this week. I want to see them use Christian Watson a lot this week. I think they kind of saved him a little bit last week just because he was like begging to play in that playoff game. I think he's going to be ready to go completely this week, and I'm hoping they just let him run around the field like they were when he was healthy a couple weeks back. If we can get some big plays out of him, get Jaden back involved this week, that'd be huge. Offensively, though, it starts with Aaron Jones again. If Green Bay is able to run block, and he's able to get going like he was a little bit like last week, then I mean, those are all very huge factors for Green Bay this week. I think Green Bay is going to score points this week. I know their defense is really, really good. They got those 2 edges that are beasts. I'm worried that we maybe can't block, but our line's held up. They had no sacks last week. If we get a little bit like of that performance, that'd be huge. Like I said, I think we're going to score points. It's just if our defense can get enough stops in this game. I like what you said with the rust for those like 2 weeks that they've basically not played. I think that is huge. You've seen that the past couple of years with Aaron's teams when they've made the playoffs. They've looked really rough for a little bit of the game, and then they slip up. And you never know. This 49ers team, they're really talented. They're really good. We got our hands full, but the way that we're playing football, I mean, I'm fully ready for this week. I feel good. I feel like this is going to be a really close game, closer than what some people might think, and you never know. There's good vibes in that locker room right now, and then that can be dangerous.
Yeah, definitely, and at least, and I know for me in regards to game of the week could be a great game. This one definitely can be. Also with the other NFC games, I think both NFC games can be the closest games, the best games. And specifically here with the 49ers facing up against the Packers. Mary, any your initial thoughts in regards to your thoughts in heading into this game that's going to be?
Yeah. So I think it's going to be very close, like these other guys said. Jair is practicing better. I did see that. He did not practice today, but it was a walkthrough practice, so it really doesn't count. Okay. So like AJ said, the offensive line has been doing great. I hope it does it again. I saw today Zach Tom has only allowed 2 sacks so far, so that's huge for us. And yeah, I think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, so it shall be a back and forth. I agree. I don't think it's going to be a blowout either side of the way. We'll get to our predictions later, but for right now, just simply say that, this isn't of the past matchups. This is going to be a fresh matchup in regards to quarterbacks. We got Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy facing up against Jordan Love. And remember, as Packer fans, Jordan Love was drafted. A lot of people weren't happy with that pick at that time, understandably. But now it's coming home to roost in a good way, for the Packers. And we could have already a Cinderella season with Jordan this season if we make it to the Super Bowl in his first season as a starting quarterback. But, you don't want to put the cart before the horse there. But, Mark, in regards to the 49ers, in regards to this game, as we talk about, this new matchup, this Brock Purdy, Jordan Love matchup, who do you give the edge to in that matchup one-on-one? And what other X factors do you see for your 49ers that they need to do to get the win?
Well, one of the things that AJ said was that he hopes that the Packers defense can slow down Christian McCaffrey and force Brock Purdy to have to throw more than just the little dump off passes. And this is one of the things that we're seeing from fan bases and from media that really don't follow the 49ers that closely, is that everybody thinks that Brock just dumps it off, and then Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk take it and run a long way. But he actually, on deep passes, so this is 20 yards or more, he leads the NFL in completion percentage. He has the highest PFF grade. He's tied for the most touchdowns on 20 yards or more. Has the second highest passer rating in the NFL on deep throws. So he's throwing the ball down the field a lot. And so he's just extremely accurate. Not that he's perfect. I mean, he definitely has his issues, but I have full confidence in him. He's already been through the playoffs before, and I mean, gosh, Jordan Love was great last week. And so it's going to be a good game. It's going to be interesting. I do think it's going to be close. I mean, what's the line, like 9.5?
9.5.
Like yeah. And so, I pay attention to those simply because Vegas, when it comes to this, they're deadly accurate. Now, they're wrong a lot, but they're right more often than like you and I are. And so I pay attention to those things, but anything can happen. So I'm not one that goes into it and is like, oh man, this is going to be a blowout. This is going to be boring. I don't think that at all. I think it's going to be a really good game. And for me, the 49ers offense is going to score. They're going to score a lot of points. They're probably going to score over 30. That's just what they do. But I think, to me, the key is the 49ers defense against the Packers offense. That's going to be the key to the game. And if the defense comes out and plays like they have in games, like whether it's Dallas or Philly or some of the other teams, then it's going to be hard on Jordan Love. But I mean, if they come out and they're rusty or they're a little slow or whatever, then who knows what could happen.
Yeah. I mean, like we were saying earlier, no blowout. But yeah, I didn't, realize that even in watching some 49er games and how well Brock does in regards to the deep ball, kind of going in the same thought as AJ was earlier in regards to the dink and dunk and make them throw farther. Maybe we don't want that. Otherwise, we'll be put into a trap in a sense, lured in and then getting burned. But hopefully that's not the case. But Matt, in regards to our corners and Joe Barry and our defense and zone and all those issues that we're having, I think that's going to be a big issue in regards to facing Brock Purdy and his long ball and his accuracy there. What are your thoughts on that specifically, and how do you think we'll be able to match up to stop that?
Well, McCaffrey scares the heck out of me. Like I played against him in fantasy this year, and I turned the game off. Like he just destroyed me. I lost by 100 points. I don't know what I lost by, but I just watched him destroy me. So he's dangerous in more than one way. As far as our corners are, they've been playing better. Like this defense has been playing better, as a whole. But like obviously like watching earlier in the year, watching this Joe Barry defense, the zone, sometimes they play off. You even saw in the Cowboys game when they kind of let off the brakes or let off the gas a little bit. They just got torched. Like this defense can get got. I think that they're playing hot right now. I feel like they're playing like at a different level. I like trying to even think about earlier in the season because I feel like this is a different team now. I feel like Jordan Love is playing better. The offense is playing better. The defense is playing better. I think that they're gonna absolutely come to play, but like this Niners offense, I accidentally watched a Niners highlight video earlier today, popped up on my feed, and just watching Joe Kittle Kittle get just he's open like when he gets the ball, and I absolutely love Kittle. I think he's great. He's fun to watch. I think I like his attitude, like the whole thing. Hopefully he doesn't have too much attitude that on Saturday doesn't have reasons to talk too much, but this offense is going to be like he said, they're going to put up points. Hopefully the Packers, their offense does the same thing. Aaron Jones is on fire right now. He's a huge part. If Aaron Jones is rolling, the Packers offense is rolling. But earlier in the year when Aaron Jones wasn't rolling, they kind of figured it out. Because at first when Aaron Jones wasn't there, this offense was dead. Like they had nothing. They kind of figured out how to win without him. And then he came back and they have been balling. But I absolutely think that this is going to be a high scoring, close game. Whoever makes the most mistakes type of thing is going to win. Hopefully our corners can stand up because Purdy, he definitely can. He can definitely throw. He's not like just throw screen passes type of guy. He can get it on the field. But I think it is like with Dallas. You know, they got a pick six. Like who's going to make the mistake? I don't think that Purdy's just going to start slinging it out there and like, you know, Brett Favre this thing. But like, I think that who will make the mistake? Like, will there be a fumble? Will there be, you know, a fumble at the 5-yard line somewhere? Will there be an interception or even a muff punt? Like, there's going to be a mistake somewhere. I feel like whoever makes the most mistakes is going to lose this game. But I expect that this defense, because like they've been disrespected so much throughout the year. I feel like at some point they were just like, no more. Like even their fans were like disrespected. Everyone's like, fire the coordinator, you know, cut this guy. We're gonna do this and that. So I expect this defense to come out and play, but like the Niners offense is no joke.
Yeah.
Go to you, AJ, and then Mary afterwards, right after. In regards to, for you, the X factor of the game for the Packers to get the win or what they need to do.
It's just got to be defense. Like I've said, you know, I think they got to get pressure on Brock. I think the way that Baltimore played, I'm not expecting Brock to play like that, obviously, this week. But the way that Baltimore played and got pressure, it was always in his face, and they had hands on everything, deflecting tons of passes. I think that's what you have to do to Brock, and you know, limit those throws down the field. Like I think Kenny Clark has to be one of those guys this week that just dominates up front, throws guys around, gets in Brock Purdy's face, gets to Christian McCaffrey. You know, I feel like he's going to be huge. For me, it's just defense. You know, I think those DBs need to stay confident, stay hot, which they're playing with tons of confidence. That podcast last week of Amon-Ra and DJ Moore, Amon-Ra said those guys were talking crazy. Those young guys, you know, I think that has a lot to do with Jair. I'm going to be completely honest, and he's rubbing off. And I think those guys are playing with some attitude, confidence. I mean, Keyshawn and Valentine have been great. They've been all over the field. Those guys were balling this week. Hopefully they can get a little more of that. You know, Kingsley out for the year sucks, but I'm excited for Luke. You know, you saw him out on the field this week. He got another sack. I think they're going to let him unleash this week, and I feel like he could be really important for this defense this week for sure. But yeah, I think it's just the matchup. Slow down Christian McCaffrey. Hopefully Quay. You know, I kind of feel like he's going to be a little more matched up with Kittle than DeAndre just because he's a little more athletic and move better. So I feel like he's going to be super important this week. You know, for me, it's just defense. I think I've seen enough from this offense the last couple of weeks. You know, the 49ers defense is really good. I'm not taking anything away from them, but what I've seen from this offense the past couple of weeks is, I mean, I feel confident. I'm not worried about them stepping out there, needing a big play, this or that. I don't care. I'm solely worried about the defense, how they play this week. Can they get enough stops? Can they get off the field on third down? Are we going to play soft zone, or are we going to match up, play man? For me, it's defense. The whole entire defense is the X factor this week. So I'm putting everything on the defense.
Mary? Oh, Mary.
So like AJ said, and Abari, we met before, actually spoke about this today. He's not sure of the ACL tear like Rob Demoski's got. So we're not sure about that. And I was a huge Lucas Van Ness fan from the draft, so I hope he does great again. Gets a sack. And I think if Joe Barry, oh no, I don't want to say this when Matt's here. If Joe Barry wins this game, or if Joe Barry helps us win this game, I think he's going to stay another year as the Green Bay Packers defensive coordinator.
I agree.
Probably.
I mean, if they actually like shut down this Niners offense, like if they held it to a respectable limit, which I think that's a tough thing to predict.
Yeah.
But like if they did, I think that there's to be a good chance for there. But the thing with Joe Barry is like his contract's over, so they have to sign him to a new contract. It's easier to just not fire someone
Right.
than to say we're going to give you another contract. But if he did something ridiculous against his Niners, because they did pretty good most of the game for the Cowboys until that, I don't know if I'd call it garbage time, but like they kind of let off the.
Yeah.
I think way too early they did that.
Agreed.
It scared me a little bit.
Yeah.
But if they did that type of thing for the whole game, then I think that you'd be like, all right, they figured it out. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, well then let's go around as we did in the same order. So we will start with Mark here. Your predictions, if you want to put a score, you can. If you don't, that's fine too. But your predictions here for the game, the divisional game, Green Bay Packers, San Francisco 49ers in Santa Clara.
I think the 49ers are going to win, and that's not a homer thing. I have to make picks every week for 49ers Web Zone. I actually picked them to lose the game against the Ravens. And so I picked to be right. If I pick the 49ers to lose, then I, of course, hope that I'm wrong. But so I don't make picks just as a fan. I do it to try to be right. And so I think that the defenses that have given the 49ers problems this year, Cleveland, Baltimore, both of those teams had really good linebackers. And the Packers defense, I think that's maybe their weak spot. And Kyle Shanahan is really good at finding those weak spots, especially when they're linebackers, whether it's McCaffrey or Kittle or Debo. I think that the linebackers could be a liability on Saturday for the Packers. Now watch, they'll do something great and make me look bad. But so I would pay attention to that. That's going to be your George Kittle, your Christian McCaffrey, things like that. So I would pay attention to that. And then the other thing is that the 49ers, when they've had problems, when they've lost, it's always been when they have played, I think, like their sixth game in a row. When they're coming off of a bye, that defense is just ferocious. And so I think that it's going to be hard for Aaron Jones to run the ball, even though I like him a lot. I've had him on fantasy teams for years, not this year, but in the past. And so I've always been an Aaron Jones fan and think he's really good. But I think that they're probably going to focus on him, try to make the Packers one-dimensional. And so that would be my prediction. I heard earlier today, Mark Chmura talking about how he said, I don't condone this, but I kind of do in the postseason. If we could get some hits, even if they're illegal, on Brock Purdy and kind of get him hurting, I'm all for that. And I mean, Mark Chmura is a piece of crap. I mean, the guy likes teenage girls, and so. But the cool thing was that I saw a lot of Packers fans saying, "Hey, don't put us in with that guy. We do not condone that. We want to play fair." and we want this to be a clean game, not a dirty game.
Mhm.
And so I just think like for Chimura or anybody else who his mindset was we have to go in and out physical the 49ers, that's just not going to happen. I think the Packers' best chance of winning is to play their game, and that's with speed on offense. And the 49ers have a couple of safeties that are older, and so they lack some speed back there in the secondary. And I think that's whether it's Christian Watson or Dobbs or whoever, I think that they have some opportunities there getting some guys open. I don't think they'll be as open as they were in Dallas because there was nobody even close to those guys because Dallas is just terrible. But I think that's going to be the Packers' best opportunity is to use that speed. Don't try to out physical the 49ers. Try to out quick them. Try to outsmart them. That's going to be their best bet. But I think in the end, the experience is going to pay off, and the 49ers will pull it out.
All right, Matt, what would be your prediction for this game upcoming?
First of all, Mark Chimura is a bum. Like I want to make sure that's clear. Like I don't know why he's even on the radio. He embarrassed Packers fans today. Like I'm like that so irritated me so much to like come out and say that. But I do think the Packers, like as far as like getting pressure on Purdy is key, but like not to try to hurt him. But I think that's in any game. Like I don't care if it's Tom Brady, whoever it is, get pressure up the middle, get them off their spot, try to stop that timing route stuff, but not trying to hurt nobody. But I think like what he said, I think the Packers do, like as far as offense goes, they have to use their speed. They have to use like good route running. They have to get creative. They don't like as defense, they have to like get after them. And McCaffrey's just ridiculous. And the Packers, stopping the run and in the past has been an issue. So they have to. I don't think you're going to shut down like one side of it, like making them one dimensional. I feel like McCaffrey's going to do like what McCaffrey does. So they have to contain that. But I think just on offense, they have to play their offense. This offense has been playing lights out. No matter what the defense does, they have to get people open. And hopefully Christian Watson, he's another week healthier. He was in there last week, and this offense has been playing really good without him. So hopefully this offense just goes out there and balls out. This is a team that wasn't really expected to be in this situation. And I do feel like they have a chip on their shoulder to say, hey, these are the almighty 49ers, and we're going to go out there and do that. So I feel like I think the Packers win this game. My prediction was 34-31. I'm not good at predictions. I predicted that same thing last week because I thought that was going to be a close game. So like, I hope they prove me wrong again. You know what I mean? And just blow the dust off them. But I don't expect that to happen. But I feel like this Packers offense just has to do what they do. Don't try to change stuff. Don't try to get too. I mean, be creative, but don't try to get too fancy and try to like, all right, this is 49ers. We're going to try this and that. Just go out there and play your game, and hopefully the defense gets pressure. The defensive line is like key in the linebackers. Just get pressure. That secondary, hopefully with Jair, they can make plays, but like they got some young guys back there, and hopefully they can get it done. But I think they do. I feel like that they want to show everyone this isn't the team of old. Even though this is a very extremely young team, a lot of people didn't expect them to be here. I don't think the team feels that though. They don't have the same mindset as a lot of fans have and outsiders watching. Like they're just happy to be here. They're not just happy to like be in the dance. They want to dance with the pretty girl. You know what I mean? So I feel like they're going to come to play. They're going to come to win. And I think they will, but it'll be close.
AJ?
Well, Steve, you know my you know how I've been the past couple weeks. I do think I think I'm solely the reason Green Bay loses games because I picked them to win. So I've done this for the past, I don't even know how many weeks it's been. I just always pick the opposing team and we just keep winning. I'm sticking on that again. But I say that, but I do believe the Packers can win. For me, a name that I haven't said yet is Rashawn Gary. He's been kind of quiet the past couple weeks, but he had that breakout game in the playoffs a couple years ago against them. I feel like he's just been too quiet lately. I feel like this is a big game for him, prime time in a divisional game against a really good team. I think he shows up, and I think he balls out this week. I like him a lot this week. And then on offense, man, I think that was one of Matt's best play calling games of his head coaching career at Green Bay. It was like everything was open. He knew every weak spot of that Dallas defense. He attacked it. I mean, that was one of his best play calling games, I thought. And I'm hoping he can draw up something again this week for that 49ers defense. They might not have too many weaknesses, but I think the play calling and what he runs and the designs are going to be a huge factor this week. Make it easier on Jordan, make it easier on these young receivers, this O-line. I like Green Bay's chances this week. I really do. It just feels different. I don't know what it is with this team, but it feels so fun, so exciting. You never know what's going to happen. It's going to be hard in San Fran against probably one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl. I wouldn't want it any other way, to be honest with you. I think this is great for this team. This stage, the way that San Francisco has bullied us the past however many years it's been, it feels like every year we get eliminated from the playoffs, it's going to be San Fran. It doesn't matter when it is, where it is, it's just going to be that team, and they're going to do it to us. And, I feel like it's been a long time coming. There's no better way or no better start to a career for Jordan than to do the thing that Aaron could never really do, and that's beat San Francisco. So I'm gonna stay by my decisions the past couple of weeks because I don't want to be the reason we lose. But that I'm gonna leave it as that. So
I respect that.
And Mary.
Oh no. So Love has plenty of help at running backs, like we said before, and receivers. I hope Christian Watson has a good game. Jaden Reed only had one catch against the Cowboys, so I hope that gets better. And a great offensive line. Pass rushers should do a lot against. Oh shoot. Also with Enigbare possibly being out with his ACL, Matt LaFleur said today that there's not an update yet on Kingsley. It's the next man up kind of deal. The Mac and Cheese podcast is also undefeated besides 2 games whenever. So I hope that streak continues.
All right. So it looks like we got, basically in a way, Packers going for Packers, Niners going for the Niners. But I do want to thank Mark for being here with us. I wanted to let you, before you go, share where people could find you, your shows, and other things. And thank you for your time as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me. You can find me on Twitter at 49ers Camelot, and I'm still not calling it X. You can find me on YouTube at 49ers Camelot, and you go to 49ers Web Zone. You'll probably see one of the articles that I've written, write a handful every week. So, you can go check that out. But I appreciate it. It's going to be a good game, and whatever happens, I think I like both of these teams, and I think the 49ers have to win this one because I think the Packers are young, talented, and up and coming. So I think that they're definitely going to be a handful in the years to come. So I think the 49ers have to get this now so that we don't have to deal with y'all. I mean, y'all talk about Aaron Rodgers couldn't beat the 49ers. We dealt with Brett Favre back in the 90s. So all of the stuff that you've had to deal with, you deserve it. You deserve it because we couldn't get past Brett Favre. So it just, it's just a cycle that happens.
Yeah. The Packers and Niners have been like throughout my life, just been back and forth. It hurts my heart how it's been the last little bit. But the Niners are definitely a respectable franchise, and they've been getting on my nerves. So I want to get past this one.
Yeah, I get it. Well, thanks, guys. Have a good night, and enjoy the game this weekend.
Indeed. Nice to meet you. Take care. Yeah, it's really going to be an interesting battle in that way in
Look at you.
regards to facing off against the 49ers. And for me, in regards to prediction, I'm going to go with Packers, of course. And in regards to score, I actually have it close. I know everybody else was talking about regards to scoring. It's going to be gunslinging show and back and forth and all that. With defenses not being there, I guess, if that's the case. But I'm going to go 17-13 Packers. I think Green Bay's going to shut down San Francisco basically. And no, we are not going to knock out Purdy. But we are going to win. We're going to knock him down and be able to get the win, contain Christian McCaffrey, maybe even a fumble and an interception, but not a pick six. But either way, I do have us winning. So 17-13, so I have a low scoring game. Maybe I'm wrong, and it is a 46-40 win for the Packers. But either way, I do see us being able to get the win. Jordan keep on doing things that Aaron wasn't able to. And it's interesting for me seeing Jordan Love taking over this team, and I think that being what was best for business for Green Bay. I think they needed to inject the youth in Green Bay in a way, with Jordan being the leader of the men. And because with last year with Aaron Rodgers kind of distancing himself from the young players, being an issue, so that being different and just the energy, in regards to psychological and the environment, let alone the play on the field, that we have seen in the past few weeks, that have been building up from the beginning of the season to now, and I'm loving it. So, but yeah, like I said, 17-13, Green Bay gets a win. Let's move backwards a bit. Talk about the game that was the beatdown in Dallas for Green Bay, getting the win there. It was surprising to me in regards to us, being up what we were 27-7 at halftime, right? So that was fun, but it was also very surprising for a game that, I thought was going to be closer from the start to the end. I was happy we were having a lead, right? But to grow it as far as we did, Matt, what were your thoughts in regards to as you were watching the game? Because I know you were doing a live stream yourself, but just to share here, as the game was going, as it was progressing, and that lead kept building and building and building, that, did you expect that? Did you believe it? Did you, what were your thoughts in regards to as we got into the second quarter, as we got into, at the halftime, how the Packers were doing at that point?
I don't think anyone expected that, like that lead to kind of go. My prediction was 34-31, the same one I have for this week because I'm lazy. But I thought it'd be close. I thought that Cowboys would kind of play. I feel like what irritated me about that game is that people didn't give the Packers credit. They were saying, well, why did the Cowboys lose? The Cowboys, they folded. The Cowboys didn't choke. They got beat by a better team. The Packers were more prepared. Matt LaFleur, like someone mentioned it, his game plan was just ridiculously good. The players came to play, even like Romeo Doubs. I don't think I've ever gave Romeo Doubs enough credit. Not that I thought he sucked, whatever, but he came to play. The offenses, like Jordan Love is just playing lights out, and they just beat him up because they're better. That's exactly how I feel. Packers they're a better team. Cowboys had a better season up until last week, but I was stoked. I was out of my mind. Like, if anyone who watched my live stream, I was just screaming. I was loving every minute of it. But I wasn't expecting. I'm not going to act like, oh yeah, I just thought we were just going to blow them up. Like, I don't think anyone expected that.
Right.
But I felt like this was a statement game for the Packers. Look at Aaron Rodgers back in 2010 when he beat the Falcons, and it was kind of the same thing. It was it was a statement game. I'm not saying the same thing's going to happen. Hopefully it does. Mm-hmm. But I felt like this is a statement game. This team was like, everyone's doubting us. It was 7.5 point underdogs, and they were like, no, we're not trash. We're not like some scrub who's just happy to be here. We're going to go ahead and win the thing. And they did that. And I fully expect them to do the same thing next week.
Right. And before, again, like I did last time, before we go head into more conversation, let's welcome our Dallas Cowboy representative to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys and his thoughts on the game. Landon from the Lando Show.
What's up, guys?
How's it going?
What's up?
Can you guys hear me? Mic check.
Yep.
Mic check.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Well, yeah, thanks for having me on. I would ask you guys, how you're doing, but I know you're clearly doing better than I am right now. So I think we can probably skip the pleasantries on that part. But hey, thanks again to Steve for reaching out, and happy to be here, man. I'm a man of my word. I know I was thinking about it earlier today. I was wondering if you guys were anticipating or expecting me to try to bow out of this thing and not, show up and hold up my end of the bargain. But of course, I'm here just to chop it up with you guys, man. And also, first of all, too, before we continue this discussion, congratulations, because I know how much like a game like that would have meant to me, how much it does mean to me. You guys can see the room behind me, right? It's more than fandom, right? It's a way of life down here in Texas,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I know the same is true up there in Green Bay. I've never had the good fortune of taking in a football game there, but I know enough about the history and tradition of not only your organization, but the National Football League that has ran through there many a time. So congrats to you guys, man. Enjoy the hell out of it, and I'll definitely be jealous and also rooting for you guys at the same time to go out west to the other Bay area and take care of our boogeyman for us.
Ours too. For being honest.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we got common ground there, brother.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to take words out of your mouth, Landon, but did it help at least that the Eagles also got beat down too?
I would say. So if I'm being completely candid, it really didn't. Obviously, okay, so let me rephrase. I guess that was the predetermined result I already had in my head. So that to me wasn't a surprise necessarily, as much as the thorough, basically rear end kicking that you guys gave us on Sunday. So, yeah, man, much more of a surprise on Monday night. But I guess if there's any silver lining or consolation prize, then sure, I guess it maybe help just a little bit to kind of point the finger at those guys and say, hey, bud, got a warm spot on the couch here next
Yeah.
been waiting on you. So, and one of my best friends actually is a diehard Eagles fan. I call him the me of the Eagles amongst our friend group. And he and I, believe it or not, like most people would probably think that, you got two friends like that that support those two particular organizations to the extent that we do. You would expect that, there's a lot of, let's just say, choice words for each other when certain things are going on, but it's really not like that at all. Like I said, to you guys and the congratulatory remarks at the beginning of this when you guys introduced me here, it's just seriously, I know how much it means to people. It's a way of life. So we respect each other in that regard when things are going well and when things aren't going so well, because once again, it kind of these types of losses, man, especially the unexpected ones, right? When everybody's got you as the odds-on favorite to win that game, it permeates throughout the rest of your life. And for me, I got two baby girls under the age of 2, so I they still need me. They don't care how well the Cowboys play, right? They need their dad. So so that's the approach I have, man.
So, in regards to how the game was going on, started and everything,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think the issues were even at that point as the game is growing, and let alone the pick six, but even before that, what happened to Dallas? Like, why did the game start that way in the sense of that Dallas just didn't seem like they showed up?
Fantastic question, and I'm glad that you asked. If you guys are really interested in a more thorough breakdown, I don't know what how time sensitive the occasion is here, but I did thoroughly kind of, I guess, unpack what the question that you just asked, and it's on my YouTube channel at the Lando Show, right? The same name that you see on the screen here, if you guys are curious. But I can pretty much sum it up to you in 3 bullet points. Let me go ahead and write this down kind of as we go. The first one is something that Cowboys fans tracked all year long, especially me and my partner on PSF, Nix, was their inability to, I guess, punish teams that elect to play the too high shell and light boxes, right? Just to put it in more layman's terms, right? The Cowboys struggled with their run game to get that. Like that wasn't the threat from within our offense, and so we couldn't punish teams that could communicate and were experienced on the back end, right? And sort of just played together as a cohesive unit in zone coverage with a too high shell. we couldn't exploit you and make you pay for making that decision, right? That's kind of like one of the fundamental elements of football, right? It's like basic, and I'm guilty of oversimplification here, but just kind of painting a broad stroke picture for the listener or the viewer. It's if you see a too high shell, right, you should be able to run into that almost every single time. Just the way that modern football is constructed, right? That's just kind of the way that it goes. So that was one of the issues the Cowboys weren't able to overcome, and it didn't manifest into the playoffs the way some fans thought that it would just kind of magically turn around. And I'll be candid too, man. That was the focal point of my preview heading into this game. And I was going to get to the breaking news in a second, and appreciate Niner Gang for hopping in and letting us know about that. Yeah. So not really that much of a surprise for those of us that are really in the know. But real quick, the other two bullet points were we couldn't stop the run, right? And that was actually the second bullet point in my preview, which before every game, I like to just kind of give a synopsis of what to expect as far as keys and matchups and tendencies for each team, right? And the second bullet point on my list after the Cowboys, being able to get things going in the running game was to be able to stop yours. And the reason I said that was because the amount of respect that I have watching Aaron Jones, being his history in Texas, right? Been a guy that I've supported from afar. First introduced to him through fantasy football, but I understand that vision is his superpower, right? And I also knew that with that and the misdirection and the condensed formations that Green Bay, the Shanahan tree, really, and particularly Matt LaFleur as well in this instance here, would give this team problems. And the reasons for that are because the Cowboys are absolutely decimated and poorly constructed and thin as far as depth goes in the middle of their defense. The defensive tackle spots and then the second level directly behind that. And that's a huge discussion that we may be here for an hour, just me explaining the tug of war that Cowboys fans amongst themselves were having in regards to the Micah Parsons debate, whether he should be fully entrenched full time at the edge position as opposed to kind of mixing up and spelling the off-ball spot for a team that was decimated at the position. We got Leighton Vander Esch went down halfway through the season. He's not a world beater by any means, but in terms of true linebacker bodies, he was one of the few, if not only, good ones on the roster at the time. We drafted third-round draft pick DeMarvion Overshown, who is a converted safety, who's playing linebacker. I'm also a Texas fan as well, so I know all too well what he's capable of and what he does. But even he would probably admit he's more on the slider side, right? That was our third-round draft pick that we expected to come in and be a depth piece and kind of learn the ropes from guys like Leighton Vander Esch, but he tore his ACL, unfortunately, before the season even began. It was in a preseason game. So there goes two of your key spots. So really what ended up with the Cowboys ended up with, the hand they were dealt, was that they were having a converted safety. Once again, Marquise Bell, number 14. You probably saw him on Sunday. And you probably charted a couple missed tackles and really poor angles. And once, again, it's not a knock on him at all. Just the hand that he was dealt, and he actually performed admirably, all things considered, considering he was an undrafted free agent safety, right? That made the transition out of necessity to the linebacker spot. And what the Cowboys ultimately were left with in this matchup, we're going to just focus on, the postmortem playoff situation that happened, right? The autopsy of the Green Bay game. The Cowboys had a 205-pound safety playing linebacker against you guys, which I was very fearful of because of the vision and the discipline required in terms of gap integrity, right? That's very important to stopping the run, regardless of what your personnel is. If you don't know what your assignment is, then you can't execute, and you can't stop it. So that turned out to be a problem. And then the other guy, Damone Clark, who, once again, mad respect to him for the effort and the growth, even while maybe as a little bit more limited than we would have liked and at a slower pace than we also would have preferred. This is a guy that had spinal fusion surgery back in 2022 when he was drafted. The Cowboys got him at a discount. They're pretty notorious for doing that. Jerry Jones isn't scared to draft a hurt guy if it means that he can get a bargain deal. And I say Jerry Jones, that's a blanket term for Cowboys fans, but it's really Stephen Jones and Will McClay that are running the show. Anybody who's paying close enough attention knows that. So the Joneses and or Will McClay, we'll go with that. Made that decision. But Damone Clark, he was a great player, probably a day 2 pick before his injury. He failed a physical, had a spinal issue, and then as a result had to have surgery. The Cowboys weren't phased. Their team doctor reviewed him and okayed him and gave Will McClay, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones the green light. And a couple rounds later than he would have liked to have been himself, Damone Clark is the newest 5th round pick for the Dallas Cowboys. So fast forward 8 months, fresh off of spinal fusion surgery. He's one of your starting linebackers to begin the 2023 season, or halfway through the 2023 season. The 22 season, 2 years ago, alongside Leighton. And then, so really what it came down to, so you've got undrafted free agent safety Marquise Bell playing linebacker. And then you've got Damone Clark, who was still essentially a rookie because he only played 8 games. He was only healthy and active for 8 games on his rookie season. So halfway through year 2 for him, he was no longer a rookie if you just want to go by reps and like game reps and experience. The third thing is the Cowboys, and this is actually the most important for me, because if bullet point number 3 that I'm about to lay out for you guys occurs, then it significantly reduces the need for the previous 2 bullet points. And that one is simply put, the Cowboys broke tendency offensively. They went away from what works, which is, once again, if I'm trying to be concise and simple here, it's motion. This offense, like most good modern offenses, particularly, once again, the Shanahan tree, Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, the likes of those, right? And now most recently, and I guess the newest version of that would be the Bobby Slowick team down in Houston. We broke tendency. We stuck to basically the shotgun run game with Tony Pollard next to Dak in the gun, and it was just simply like an inside zone scheme. That was like their default run play when they just needed to try to get a couple yards, and they lacked explosivity there in that department. And that's not really Tony's skill set either. Once again, all this stuff is detailed in a more creative way on my YouTube channel. You guys can find that breakdown. But yeah, so those 3 bullet points, man, the Cowboys broke tendency, though, being essentially the biggest and most critical straw that broke the camel's back. So
yeah, so it's really unfortunate in regards to that, because I know for me, because heading into this game and previewing it was last week, I think it was going to be a close game. Picking the Packers, yes, but worried that we would need to start off fast and be able to hold on for dear life to a lead, and to Dallas coming back, and it was just surprising even for me as others too that the game went the way it was, and as good as it was, it also was surprising. It certainly has been interesting seeing reactions to people of the game. Especially on YouTube. I've seen some Cowboys content creators on YouTube and their strong opinions on the game and whatnot, what they need to do and what should be done, and how things should be changing in Dallas. Which if you talked about the breaking news that things are going to stay the same, at least the head coach side of things, But
yep.
From the other content creators that talk about the Dallas Cowboys, their biggest thing, on a level, is that it just didn't seem like the effort was there.
Yes. That's also a massive thing that I kind of highlighted too, and I basically boldly stated that everything has to be evaluated under a microscope, and it really starts and ends with the scouts and the ownership, as well as the coaches, prioritizing and overly emphasizing physicality, toughness, and discipline. Too often the Cowboys beat themselves. And the discipline component is why a lot of people were advocating for Bill Belichick to be brought in. But the reason why Mike McCarthy makes a lot of sense. You guys still got me okay, volume wise? Audio, okay. The reason why a lot of people, David Moore included, he writes for the Dallas Morning News, and of course Jerry Jones, being the good old boy that he is, he reads the newspaper, right? So if he's trying to float some information, you guys know as well as I do that teams have a funny way of using their, quote unquote sources to kind of spin their own narrative, right? And so anytime you see David Moore tweet something from the Dallas Morning News, it's a pretty good idea to start paying attention. And he kind of hammered home the point that some other Cowboys creators like myself had kind of been thinking about and predicting, is that with the contract situation with Dak Prescott, it probably makes the most sense and amongst a couple other core players to run this thing back one more time. And so, because you can't walk away from Dak Prescott, and I don't advocate for that either, by the way. I'm just saying, like, kind of the talking point. If you want to try to cut him or trade him, that's fine. But if you end up, people that wanted to cut him post June 1, you're still eating $30 million this year. So he's most likely going to end up with a restructured an extended contract, and that's going to piss a lot of people off. But it's just the way that this business goes.
Yeah, I want to take it to AJ because I know he hasn't given his thoughts yet in regards to this Packer game. Whatever you wish to share in regards to like how you were feeling in regards to how the game went, and let alone the outcome.
Well, I would say just the way that this Green Bay team ended the regular season, I would say going into the week, I felt good. I felt confident that they'd be able to go out there and compete and, possibly beat the Cowboys. I didn't take the Cowboys as no rollover. I mean, what they did the whole season was great. They looked good, and there was parts of that team that definitely worried me for us. But honestly, once the game started to get going, and by halftime, I would say I was speechless. Honestly, I was so excited. It got to once Wicks had that touchdown, it was 21. I sat back and I was like, I felt like I was out of breath. I was just jumping up and down constantly and shocked. And then, Darnell gets that pick six, and I literally fell to my knees. I didn't know what I was watching, what Green Bay team this was. I was so shocked. But yeah, man, that was one of.
I'll tell you, if you don't mind me interjecting real quick, I'll tell you
Go
what
ahead.
you're watching. You're watching a young and more well-coached and more confident team out-execute a team that tried to sleepwalk through you. That's what you watched. That's what you watched. And at the first sign of adversity, my team folded. That's what you watched.
It's true. I do agree.
Look no further than CeeDee Lamb and his body language and antics, if you want to call it that. Mike McCarthy was giving him a pep talk in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Him
and Dak weren't on the same page at all.
We got to be tougher than that, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I think that was one of Matt's best games as a coach for Green Bay. Honestly, I might put it as his best coach game since he's been in Green Bay. What he schemed up and his game plan was going into that week, and the way they attacked that defense was incredible. And I hope just for the same thing this week, but staying on this week, I just give props to Matt, to be honest. I mean, the guys played with confidence and they balled out, but what Matt was able to do and have those guys ready, I mean, you can hear it in his press conferences before games, after games. I mean, he has got a chip on his shoulder, and I think it rubs off so much down the whole roster, offense, defense, special teams. I mean, even the coaching staff. I mean, you saw Rich after the game walk out of the tunnel, and how about them Cowboys? I mean, this team is fiery. They got a chip on their shoulder. And I feel like this is just like a whole nother version. Like, we haven't seen this in a couple of years from this team and the staff. It's fun. This past week was fun. I hope for a little more of that this week. So we'll see.
The best part about it, I'd say for y'all, if I was a Cowboys fan, and I'll stop talking, is you guys are I mean, you're really playing with house money right now. All the rookie contracts that you have. I mean, dude, we're seeing this right now. The valuable experience that the youthful exuberance is earning. What is this Green Bay team going to look like next year, 2 years from now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is, dude, this is, as a fan of football, this is freaking sick. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Right. I just say here, as we will continue this conversation, because there's something I actually want to bring up from Landon's Twitter that I wanted to bring up, that we'll bring up here as a discussion point next. But I did want to let Matt go. He has another podcast to be part of. But I did want to give him his shine in this moment to promote himself. Share anything else, last words you wish to say, and thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. And go ahead. You have the floor.
Oh yeah, well, you can find me on YouTube, the Matt Ramage Show. I got like if you go to theMattRamage.com, you can find all my social links. You can find all the podcasts and all that. But yeah, I don't have anything like crazy to say, but I appreciate you guys having me on here. I do a podcast like basically like kind of here and there, like at 2 or 3 times a week. I do live shows on my Facebook and YouTube, and on Twitter and like Twitch, and it's all over the place. But I have some good people on here. But yeah, this game was like not what I expected. As far as the Cowboys game, but it was fun to watch. You know what I mean? And I do have love for Mike McCarthy. I will say that because we got a Cowboy fan over here. Mike McCarthy, like for me, because like I love the Packers so much, like the history of the Packers, and Mike McCarthy always respected that. So I will always have love for Mike McCarthy. But like in big games, sometimes he just kind of flakes out. He kind of like game management sometimes just not there. That was like my hope going into this game is like maybe he can make a mistake, but I'm glad that it went how it did. But I will never trash Mike McCarthy. I will never like get happy about him because he was so good in Green Bay, and not just like at the end like as a coach, but just like respecting the history, respecting like the team, and like just enjoying working here, and just like so I will never get happy about Mike McCarthy losing. And I think he's a good dude, but when he left, it was time for him to leave. I never thought Bill Belichick was going to Dallas because I don't think Bill Belichick would work for Jerry Jones.
No, exactly.
No.
Yeah, I don't. 100%. He wants to like own the. He wants to do everything.
He's wearing 3 hats really in New England. He's he's the general manager, he's the owner, and he's the coach.
Yeah, he's earned that. He's not going to go to Jerry World and
nope.
And Jerry Jones needs a certain type of coach who's going to listen. And
I guess, man.
Yeah, like for real. And that's kind of what McCarthy. I think McCarthy's a good coach, but like I think he's missing just like something.
So you want me to tell you real quick why Cowboys fans and why I actually got excited and we thought that it was going to be different is because Jerry Jones actually handed Mike McCarthy the keys and allowed him to fire his golden boy Kellen Moore. Which if you know anything about the Cowboys organization, you knew that he was grooming Kellen to essentially right along the same trajectory as Jason Garrett. Right, it was the exact same thing. Hand selected golden boy that just in-house brought just elevated himself up the trajectory and up the echelon. And so that's when we kind of had a feeling that okay, maybe this is going to be different. Mike McCarthy's going to have a shot as the head coach, as every head coach should, to go out and hire his own staff, right, his own people, his brain trust, right, of men who see the same way he does as far as just football philosophy goes. But yeah, it turned out to like your point, and I promise you, every Cowboys fan that hears this probably sat in their seat and nodded their head with you in a chord like this when you said that sometimes he inexplicably has a tendency to dissipate in some games, and that's been the biggest frustration for me is because the Cowboys, and I've charted every single game, I've watched every single game probably 5 times if you include the 4 rewatches on the All 22, and we've broken this stuff down, man, thoroughly. Picking it apart with a fine-tooth comb, and the offense that we rolled out there on Sunday is not the offense that we saw thrive and help kind of cultivate an MVP caliber quarterback, Dak Prescott, this year. It was just different, and I can't explain why.
Yeah. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys having me on, and Lando, the Lando show, I think that you do great work. I'm sure Cowboys fans love it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I was looking for you on Twitter too. What's I'll hit you with a follow real quick before you go. Is it
just Matt Ramage
on your wall?
Yeah, it just Matt Ramage.
Okay.
Obviously without the space or whatever. I'll definitely follow you back. But
it's not popping up for some reason. Hit me with a follow, and I got you back, my man. Yeah,
I'll definitely get you. I appreciate you guys having me on, and I have another show I have to get to real quick. But you guys are awesome. Go Pack, go! Hopefully we can win it next week.
Keep this thing rolling.
Cowboys fans, you know what I mean? Knock out the Niners once and for all because they've been a pain.
No kidding.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Good luck to you, man. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the game on Sunday. You guys earned it.
All right. You guys have a good one.
Yeah, yeah, it was great to have Matt on, and I thank Mary for that, being able to connect me with him and have him on the show this week. We might even have him on for the Super Bowl preview too. So we'll get to that when we get to that. The next thing I want to talk about, like I said, we're going to go to that Twitter handle. It is at the Lando Show.
Yeah.
And a recent tweet that I just retweeted. I want Landon. I'm sure he did in his YouTube video extensively, but here as much as he wants to, because I can be here all night. I don't care. But anyways, but here
I don't have all night, but
no, I know, but you know what I mean. But you know what I mean.
Yes, sir.
But anyways, here is what it says verbatim. The organization failed Dan Quinn, Mike McCarthy failed Dak Prescott, and Dak Prescott failed himself. Dan Quinn likely falls on the sword. All of the above can be true, but none of the above has to define anyone. It seems as if everyone is looking for one scapegoat, so I did the best I could to sum up the situation without being guilty of oversimplification. It's multifactored, folks, and there is more than one guilty party. # Cowboys. Lando, I know it seems simple as it is, word for word verbatim, as you read on Twitter, aka X.
Mm-hmm.
But in regards to, to share here, what does all that mean? What does all that mean in the sense of the Cowboys? What does all that mean in sense of the future for Dallas and what was the game against Green Bay and what we were saying in regards to it's more than one. It's not just a scapegoat. The reason of the Dallas loss.
So let me actually pull that tweet up real quick too, so I make sure I kind of explain exactly what I mean. Give me 1 second here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have it pulled up for you. Okay. So I was trying to sum up what seemed in my eyes to be the consensus amongst Cowboys Nation, Cowboys media, Cowboys fans, even Cowboys players. A lot of times they'll give clues as to how they're feeling. If you pay close enough attention, and as well as the coaching staff, kind of reading between some of the tea leaves, some of the words that, the coach speak is always going to permeate. And it's kind of annoying to try to sift through and take anything, anything as fact away from any of their words. They're usually, it's a chess match, right? You guys know that. I mean, the media wants to ask questions, but, and the staff may want to answer them directly, but they don't want to, also at the same time give information away that may benefit another team who's an upcoming opponent, something along those lines, right? So, but anyway, the long story short is I tried to be concise, and I'm always doing the best I can to, I guess, speak on behalf of the Cowboys and represent them well, and mostly for the fan base, because I found myself, I got to a point to where I knew enough to have certain opinions on things. And then once I got to that point, I realized that I may know a lot relative to most, but I know a little relative to some, right? And so there's always like another step of the ladder that you can climb. And so I just started studying, right? I started paying attention to the professionals in this industry and even beyond, who have done this a lot longer than I have, who've, forgotten more football than I'll ever know. And, I've kind of figured some things out, and I've paid close enough attention to understand what really, really matters as far as winning is concerned in the National Football League. And I know that it is the ultimate team sport, right? And that's ultimately the premise of the tweet here that we're going to read. But as far as the organization failing Dan Quinn, that's not, just keep in mind, anyone listening, this is not my direct take. Okay. There's missing context here. All right. But I was doing the best I could to sum it all up for everybody to digest as easily as possible. Okay. The organization failed Dan Quinn. And that sentiment stems from, like I talked about earlier, the Cowboys being thin as far as depth is concerned, and really just lacking adequate personnel at the linebacker spot and at the defensive tackle spot. Okay. So I say the organization failed Dan Quinn because there wasn't even an appreciation for the defensive tackle spot until Dan Quinn showed up here. We ended up having to trade for Jonathan Hankins in the 2022 season because we just didn't have a one technique body that can just plug a gap and eat up two blocks that would allow our linebackers to flow freely. Okay. We didn't have that. So we had to trade for one. All right. And then the following year, Dan Quinn realized and convinced the Cowboys to also realize how much of an impact a true one technique guy like that can have on your defense, that they went and drafted one in the first round for the first time in over 21 years. So it was almost like Dan Quinn kind of relit the fire in the organization. Like, oh, okay, like it's not just about edge play and cornerback play and then quarterback play. Like it requires everyone. It takes 22, right? So they drafted Mozzie Smith, and the development, he wasn't there. Like from a technique standpoint, from a leverage standpoint, like those are the two things that he's got that he's going to work on and that he will ultimately improve on, right? We've already seen marginal incremental improvements throughout the season. Okay. But what Mozzie was asked to do at Michigan was get in a 4-point stance and don't move. Like just be the strongest guy on the field, which he was, and still often is, even in the NFL. And don't move. But the problem is it's a grown man's game now on Sundays, right? And you can't just try to win with grown manning people. There's technique involved, right? There's leverage involved. There is tiny little intricacies that matter a lot. Okay. And so he is working his way up, but ultimately he wasn't ready. And that lack of depth there plagued us. And ultimately, once again, like I said, it was an issue stopping the run, but the linebacker position from guys that just haven't done it long enough and are either haven't done it long enough, like Damone Clark, or are safeties to begin with, like Marquise Bell. There's a fundamental understanding of gap integrity and just, trusting what your eyes tell you and being able to flow with timing and precision to the right spot. And we like that. And that's ultimately what we us. Aaron Jones, the vision, man, like I said, the cutbacks were going to be there. Or I hope that they weren't, but that was going to be a huge critical factor in that game. And it was. His vision is his superpower. And it's incredible to watch him play football. The second point, Mike McCarthy failed Dak Prescott. That was the third bullet point that I summed up earlier. And this is, once again, Dak Prescott has some responsibility here too, as far as the scheme goes. But the Cowboys broke tendency. They went away from the things that work for them, which is motioning at a high frequency, utilizing bunch formations, and even condensed formations with Dak under center, as opposed to just in the shotgun. And if Packers fans might be sitting there thinking, oh, that's interesting. That sounds a lot like what we did and what we do. Imagine that. You know why? Because it works. Okay. The Shanahan tree is also Dan Quinn's kryptonite, by the way, for anyone who wasn't aware of that. And then the last one is Dak Prescott failed himself. And I really just tried that was me summing up probably 60% of the fan base that is pointing the finger just straight at him and kind of singling him out. He's the scapegoat for them because he's the lowest hanging fruit. He's the guy that makes the most money. They're just pissed off about that. But yeah, and then Dan Quinn falling on the sword. I think that's ultimately what's going to happen. And so far this is holding true because Mike McCarthy's back, which means Dak Prescott's back, which also means that Dak's probably going to get extended. And that also means that somebody still has to be responsible for what happened on Sunday. Like at the end of the day, Jerry Jones is still selling something, right? Like he's got to sell to the fan base that, hey, we're going for this thing, right? And so, like I said, all the above that can be true, and in some ways it is, but like I said, there's missing context, which I hope I applied some there just now. But none of that stuff has to define you. So that piece was essentially just to kind of speak some life into the Cowboys Nation that, hey, this thing, as bad as it was on Sunday, it can turn around just as quickly as it went the other direction, right? So that doesn't, like, players adapt, right? The coaches adapt the same way that players do. And I think that's true for any human being in any aspect of life, right? Adapt. You fail forward, right? That was the mantra that professional baseball taught me. My time playing and my playing days, and just, throughout college and the pros, like I ultimately realized, not early enough, but it was me versus me, right? I was in control of my own destiny based on how hard I was willing to work, was how far I was going to be able to go. Ultimately, injuries just kind of got in the way, but that's a different story. But so the moral of the story is it's the ultimate team sport. There's never just one guilty party. And just because things have happened in the past one way doesn't mean that they can't turn around for the better in the future.
AJ and Mary, either of you, now that we're talking about the Cowboy game and what awesomeness that was, right? Be able to get a big lead and be able to, hold on. And even though in the garbage time, Dallas making it look better than it was, in that way, in regards to score wise, where the Eagles couldn't. And the Eagles, final score actually looked like a blowout, where Dallas looked like it was a close game and Green Bay just pulled away.
Ours was uglier for sure.
But anyways, I was just gonna throw it to AJ and Mary if they have any or whatever in regards to questions while we have a Cowboy fan here. In regards to the Cowboys, if there is any. So the floor is either of yours if you have any questions for the Cowboy rep.
I guess Dak obviously is always going to be the scapegoat for Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Are you, as a Cowboys fan, are you still behind Dak, or would you like to see them? I guess it's kind of hard with his contract and
it's a fair question.
Where they would be.
You're not wrong.
Are you behind Dak still and moving forward, or maybe giving him one more year, and then if things end poorly, maybe like it did at the end of this year? Because Dak. Hats off to Dak. I thought he shut up a lot of people in the regular season. He balled out MVP caliber, and then for him to play the way that he did in that playoff game was, kind of look back to last year's Dak a little bit. But to my point, are you still with Dak moving forward, or what time frame are you giving him until this should be over?
So that's a great question, man, and I actually am. To be forthcoming with it, I am behind him still, and I'm one of the probably handful of most outspoken in his behalf. But I actually just had to break this down recently on a short form video that project that I posted on it might have been 2 weeks ago now. I don't recall exactly, but I was essentially I was explaining apparently without even knowing, just based on the content that I put out, people had formed this opinion. People who are kind of watching from afar, they're not necessarily immersed in all the intricacies and kind of deep diving into things the way that I do. So I could very easily understand the misconception, and that's why I took no offense. But they took me as you just love Dak guy. And I use air quotes because that was actually the direct quote that I had sent my way, and it's not offensive at all because I have been outspoken in favor of him, but it's more so because I know that I've always said this: he's plenty good enough, right? And when you have a top 5, 7, 8 quarterback in this league, right, you stick to it because you never know, man.
Where it's going.
It is the number one most important position in all of sports. But the problem is the most important trait required to play that position is the very one that we can't measure accurately because it's the intangible right in between the ears, right? Yep. And that is what I've always bet on with Dak because of the adversity that he's had to overcome through the death of his mother, the death of his brother, and a season-ending leg injury on national television when everybody mocked him, right? When you put the star on your helmet and you play quarterback for the Cowboys, you're under a larger microscope than any professional athlete in America.
For sure.
Right? And I think that's fair to say, okay?
Yeah.
So to even be in a position to where he has actually put together not just one, but multiple MVP caliber seasons, the one in 2021, and then he was on his way actually in 2020 before he broke his leg. He was leading the league in passing on pace for over 6,000 yards, but that was because we didn't have a defense. So we were playing from behind, basically playing catch up from the jump every game. So that's there's an asterisk there. But the point is, you got a lot of money, right? So you pretty much you've already made your bed. You just got to sleep in it at this point. Okay. B, he is plenty good enough, and he proved that this year. Okay? I agree. You don't just get to, and I know that the playoffs are the ones that matter most, but the reality is, man, most quarterbacks have a losing record in the postseason. Most of them do.
Yeah.
Do the research, look it up. Right. How many playoff wins does Lamar Jackson have?
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? How many road playoff wins does Josh Allen have? He never went on the road in the playoffs.
No.
I think he has 2 to his name right now. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
And again, I'm not comparing Dak to Lamar or to Josh or to anybody for that matter. I'm just saying when you got one that's proven that he can do it at a very high level for not just one season but throughout multiple. Yeah, he led the league in interceptions in 2022, but that there's very clear things pointing to that, and I've detailed that heavily. That's actually really how I built my business, for lack of a better term, was by kind of dissecting the Cowboys offense under Kellen Moore last year, but neither here nor there. Yeah, man, the money is also a factor. And then the last thing is, you know, okay, so you want to get rid of Dak Prescott? Okay, so what's the next best alternative? Where are you going to find me a quarterback? Good luck.
Right.
Most teams can't do it, much less you sitting on your couch figuring out how to find one.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, then you're just that bridge guy.
If you tell me your process of evaluating, predicting, and then not only that's the first most difficult hurdle to jump through. Then you evaluate one, you find one that you like, even if you can guarantee that he's going to get it done in the NFL. How are you going to get him?
Yeah.
You want to tank for a year? You want to lose all 17 games and get that, and even that sometimes isn't enough.
Yeah, you go through that bridge quarterback,
right?
It take a little longer too. Then it goes. Sometimes it might go better than expected.
Exactly.
I look at like Seattle with that. I thought they probably thought that they were going to be able to get maybe like a Bryce Young or CJ Stroud with the whole Geno Smith thing, because they didn't really know. They get Geno, Drew Lock, and then Geno Smith balls out, and then they're stuck with him for another year, and then he didn't look like the Geno from the year before.
Right.
So, yeah, I absolutely get what you're saying. The bridge quarterback in that situation can be tough, especially with, like, money. You see it with, like, the Giants even. Daniel Jones just gets money now. What are they going to do?
They're stuck. They made their bet.
Yeah. There's teams like that, man. It's tough. Same with, even the Browns, Deshaun. My God. Dude, you pay that dude boatloads of money.
Yeah, imagine the position that Browns fans are in right now. Like Joe Flacco just won. They stole their hearts, man. Literally, won that entire city over. But they can't not keep Deshaun Watson. They can't not.
There's nothing they can do. He has to play quarterback for them next year. There's no way around it.
It's a tragedy for them.
Yeah. There's been stuff like that going on for a while around the league for sure. But but you see guys like Baker leave, and then look at Baker now. Right. So
hey, I was gonna say, man, earlier I was kind of listening behind the scenes when I was backstage. Mm-hmm. Imagine we're sitting here right now. What's today? Wednesday, January 17th. Imagine if just a few short days from now we're looking at the Bucs hosting a playoff game. Which would mean that not only do the Bucs win in Detroit, that would also mean that the Packers win in San Fran. How incredible would that be?
So I'm in school in Tampa, like literally downtown. I can walk to the stadium.
Oh, you're in Tampa?
And I'm in Tampa.
Yo.
So the plan is
Packer fan in Tampa. Yep.
I'm praying right now. So if Green Bay wins Saturday, I'm the biggest Bucs fan in the whole world Sunday.
Brother.
So I'll be going to the NFC Championship. I will lose it.
That is sick, man. So hell yeah.
I'm excited. It's got to be – things got to go our way for sure. I feel like both the teams aren't the favorite. But, I think we can do it, and I think Tampa can do it too, So
no doubt. Listen, here's another thing.
Be exciting.
I don't know if you guys even talked about this, but if I'm a Niners fan, I'm scared to death. As a former professional athlete, who understands rhythm and flow, like flow state, Brock Purdy hadn't played a football game in 2 weeks, y'all.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what we talked about that. We said when Matt was on, he was like, we've seen Aaron and these Packers teams years before. They get the bye. They sit people sometimes that last week, then they got the bye. And then they go into that next game, and we've seen it as Packers fans for a while.
It's probably preferential. They probably asked him, and he was like, no, don't worry about it. Go the safe route, and I'll be fine. But we haven't seen him have to do that yet. We don't know.
He's always been one of those guys. It's just Mr. Cool, honestly. It comes to him, flows to him. But that's what I hope Green Bay is able to do again this week, is just jump on them early, fast. That defense get going, that offense gets going. I I think if Green Bay's able to start hot, maybe not take off like they did against Dallas, but just like 7-0 early, and then just get a couple stops and like just manage the game, get some yards. If you have to punt, you have to punt, but just like play the game, control the game. And I think that plays into Green Bay what they want to do, because Green Bay is one of those teams that they get up, they can go on drives. They can go on like
Absolutely
6-7 minute drives like that, and you're just like, where did the time go? I swear that first quarter of the Dallas game, until like the last 2 or 3 minutes, it was like flying by. Green Bay just took up the entire clock. I was like, I don't know if Dallas is going to even touch
that
the
opening
freaking
possession
ball.
was like 7 minutes.
It was like 7-8 minutes. I was like,
Yeah.
my God. But you know, back to that whole point. Hopefully Tampa can do it. You know, that's a whole nother round. We don't really talk about those two teams too much, but
that's really cool,
never
man.
know.
So my buddies and I, we travel to Tampa every summer to kick off
Oh,
the
really?
NFL season. Yeah, we fly there.
That's awesome.
It's technically oh gosh, I can't even think of the beach now. What is it? This is terrible because
Clearwater?
Siesta Key. Siesta Key.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So we go to Siesta every summer, and it's a blast, man. And they were actually able to go. So 2 years ago, or shoot, it's 2024 now. Yeah, 2 years ago, the Cowboys opened up in Tampa. And so a bunch of my Cowboys buddies, they were actually there. That they got to go tailgate and witness it like on the scene. I didn't make it until the day after. I was still playing baseball at the time, but yeah, man, it's a cool deal.
Awesome.
I love Tampa. I love Siesta.
Oh, no doubt. They Tampa. Green Bay played Tampa. They played them 2 years ago, and it was in Tampa with Aaron's last year, and then this year they played them, but it was in Green Bay. So, and we kind of got dog walked. Honestly, we got beat up that game. So
yeah, you guys are a much different team now, though, than you were then.
I do agree. So
yeah,
two different beats.
It'd be so exciting. So but yeah, man.
So before we get to the next question for me, I actually have a question for y'all, and I know I've been talking a lot, so feel free to stop me anytime I just ramble. I have a tendency to do that. My question is, what was the biggest difference for Jordan Love? Like, so I was a believer. I actually scooped him off of waivers. He went undrafted in my fantasy league. I'm a big fantasy guy, but I saw the tools. Okay. And I actually did a Christian Watson fantasy like preview, basically saying draft this dude, because the only way that you don't, in my head at the time, I was saying basically if you have any hope of Jordan Love, like any faith in Jordan Love to be 80-90% of what Aaron Rodgers was in his final year. And this year he was actually better, by the way. But if you had any hope, then Christian Watson was going to be a can't miss guy. But he can't get out of his own way, unfortunately, with the injury situation. But yeah, man. So the question: what was the switch that was flipped? And I can ask it probably more contextually, but I'll just like let you guys take it from there. What changed?
I've watched so many of their games from this year, and I just saw Colin Cowherd's show not too long ago. He was talking about it. He was like, I've never seen a quarterback in season make the jump that Jordan Love has made from however many weeks to now. And honestly, I don't even know really where to start, because you can say Aaron Jones, but Jordan started to get hot even before Aaron Jones came back and started playing really well. I feel like it's just a whole nother level to it now with him back there. But even before that, he was playing well. He was hot. I don't know if it was play calling. I feel like maybe he got more trust in Jordan as time went on. He started to get better, which helped with
the
certain
playbook
plays.
a little bit, maybe?
Playbook, maybe. I mean, I honestly, I don't even know what to say. I don't think this wide receiver core gets their flowers as much as they should, because Jordan has been great, but the fact that all of our pass catchers, either wide receiver or tight end, they are either 1 or 2 year guys, and they are balling out. They look like they're, from tight end, Musgrave was hurt. Tucker Kraft comes in, balls. Musgrave's back. He's more athletic. He played really well this week. Jaden Reed has one catch this week. That just shows the depth. Romeo has his game. That's the one. It's so weird. We lose Aaron. We've kind of felt like we never get receivers. It just feels like we just throw guys out there because we've had a really good quarterback for so long. He can make everyone better. He leaves, and now all of these young guys, we have goes down the list. I mean, Bo Melton a couple weeks ago comes off of the practice squad, goes for 100 yards against the Vikings on New Year's Eve or New Year's. I mean, it was – I don't know.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Finish your thought. I'm sorry.
No, well, just finishing up, I just think it's the confidence from Matt and Jordan, and then the way that the receivers developed throughout the year with Jordan, the connection that he had with them that Aaron didn't want to have with those guys.
Right.
I think that plays a big part.
Right.
Go ahead, Steve. Looks like you were about to chime in there.
You go from how the season started to how the season ended, how the season has flowed for Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. I think the biggest thing for me that was the turning point, that seeing that Jordan Love is him, and then also that this team can be something, whether it was going to be this year in the playoffs or not, was when we hit that stretch of what was going to be our hardest games, and we win those games. We defeat the Chargers, we defeat the Chiefs, and we defeat the Lions, right? We defeat those three teams. Yes, only two of the three are in the playoffs, but still three good teams. And being able to do so, being able to go through that gauntlet and come on the other side, I think made them stronger. I think made them feel and believe that they can do something, that they can face and do well to the big boys, not just a team being able to beat up on cupcakes, so to speak. And that's even with me saying that, respecting all 32 teams. But still, I think that stretch was the catalyst to, as me as a fan, belief, and maybe even the Packer organization, higher ups, and Jordan Love himself believing like, hey, not only can we stay with these teams, but we can beat them, and that we don't have to fear no man, don't have to fear no team, don't have to fear no situation, right? Just as Aaron Rodgers in his own way didn't fear anything, but in a different way. This young nucleus, this young core, this young team, I think is his biggest asset. I think his biggest asset is his youngness. Basically, Aaron Rodgers, as AJ just said perfectly, that Rodgers didn't want to have anything to do with these receivers and throwing the deep balls to Devontae's and all that, and that kind of those are the reasons we lost some games and all that. But Jordan Love now here as the leader of the men. It took time to develop. Got through that rough patch. I saw the meme in regards to from another fan base. I think it was the Bears or somebody talking about, it must have been so hard for Green Bay. They had they questioned their quarterback for at least 4 weeks, as we're doing it for 40 years. But still, I think that was the antithesis in regards to where I feel that this Packer team came together, and I think from then on, from that stretch, facing those teams, be able to go from there and really having a strong finish now into the playoffs. I think it's been key, and where for me it turned. It was that, that being the epicenter of it all, and being the reason for the belief, in this young team, a team with great wide receivers coming out of nowhere. We talk about how Pat Mahomes makes his receiver corps better, how Aaron Rodgers made his receivers better in Green Bay, and all that. I think Jordan Love, just with the young nucleus, people, everybody being closer to his age, 1 to 2 years, as AJ said, for experience, is a positive, not a negative. It's a positive because Jordan Love himself is that young. Jordan Love himself is ingratiating himself to the team, as you've seen from the preseason and the offseason, right, AJ? In regards to seeing him hanging out with them and trying to build that rapport off the field, isn't what it's on. So I think, all that encompassing, and it just took time to build and manifest, and then it became what it became. And now we're seeing even a fraction of what this Green Bay Packer team can be in the future, because they're all going to grow up together, basically. We're going to grow together, grow up together, and not saying it's going to be greatness for another 10 years, another decade, but I'm at least saying that it can be because of how and what we're seeing right now from Jordan Love and from this team. Also, kudos to Coach LaFleur, the coaching staff overall. They're not perfect, but they've done a dang good job. But yeah, that's what I would say being, for me, the turning point in believing in Jordan Love and believing in this Packer team be able to do something, because we're going to come into San Francisco, we're going to respect that team, but we're not going to fear them. And we're going to come in there believing and seeing and
you should. You're one of the 4 best teams in the NFC.
Here we go.
Right? You shouldn't fear anybody.
But yeah, that's the answer to your question. I think it was with that those game stretches.
Fair enough. I guess my 2 cents, and you guys can tell me if you agree or disagree, but from just like watching from afar, it looked to me, obviously confidence matters, right? For everyone. Receivers included, like kind of understanding the intricacies of the position required to perform at a high level on Sundays as opposed to Saturdays. So that is obviously a big part of it. But I think the catalyst for everything that we're discussing here is that Matt LaFleur, it took him a little bit of time to understand what Jordan Love likes and what he's good at. And then being able to kind of build and structure the offense around that. And then also on top of like just being the offensive genius that he is, and just his brilliance, trusting Jordan Love, and then Jordan Love having not only the arm talent to go out and execute the game plan, but also just the fact that he sat on the sideline and watched an all-time great and first ballot Hall of Famer do it for 3+ years, right? Mm-hmm. Understanding the position and progressions, and then being able to do all that with the arm talent, right? Make all the throws, but not turning the football over.
Yeah.
Taking care of the ball and trusting Matt LaFleur. He is that good of a, not just play designer, but like the structure of the offense, the way that things play off of each other. Like that route from Romeo Doubs where, he put Stephon Gilmore in a blender this past week. Mm-hmm. Everybody was like, it's time for Gilly to pack his stuff up and go home with his kids. That was improv.
Yeah.
That play was structured to design and have Romeo Doubs flow to the opposite direction. He broke it off because he saw daylight, and Gilmore was expecting that to continue because he's the film study guy. He'll run your route for you.
Yeah.
But he got fooled because Romeo Doubs just, real time had the wherewithal to break that off. And then Jordan Love, see it, get it there. No matter where, like off platform, like I can throw from any angle, like I'm gonna get it to you. You're open, let it fly. Confidence. And it's just that's been the difference. So
I think for Packers fans and other fans, they're seeing like Matt's true playbook and like what he wants to run. Aaron had his set stuff that had to be implemented into Matt's. So then you have moments, you had it like once or probably twice a week with those two that you see Aaron call a timeout, camera flips to Aaron, and Aaron is screaming at Matt screaming at Aaron. I mean, Aaron was so great and I love Aaron, what he did, and he's one. Like I said, past shows, someone asked me why I became a Packers fan when I was really little, first grade. That's Aaron. I'm from Ohio, so my whole family's Bengals fans. I'm a Packers fan because of him. So that's thank everything he did, but the fact that Matt is able to run his stuff, and Jordan gets to do his stuff, and they get to work together, and you never see a bad moment between those two ever. I mean, they win that game against Chicago to go to the playoffs, and the first thing Matt does is sprint onto the field and hug Jordan because Matt's been there for him the whole time. The confidence that he's had in them, I think that's a huge part and really a reason why Jordan's been able to be so successful, and that's because of Matt. A lot of Packers fans probably I feel like a lot of Packers fans, you get those people on Twitter that just talk, and they wanted to put a lot of stuff, a lot of dirt on Matt's name early in the season. Just saying that he was just writing Aaron's success, but what he's done, I mean, I know he's not going to win Coach of the Year. Green Bay went 9-8, snuck in, but to me, I think he should be the Coach of the Year, or if not, like 2 or 3, just because DeMarco Ryans, for sure. Yeah. But I give all my props and everything to Matt. I mean, what he's been able to do has been incredible.
Cosign, man. Cosign.
Yeah.
And one last thing I wanted to bring up in regards to the Cowboys and what was and what can be. I wanted to get Lando's. I'm sure you saw it already, but from the comment here in regards to the Cowboys and Jerry Jones and him still being there. The last time the Cowboys were able to be great was when they had Jimmy Johnson, someone that wasn't going to be a true yes man to Jerry, and ever since then he's needed one, and they haven't been able to get back there. That correlation and irony and connection is there to me, for a reason. I think for the Cowboys to want to go back to the Super Bowl, let alone go back to an NFC title game, period. I think Jerry Jones is going to need to realize and understand that maybe he doesn't have to be as hands-on as he is. Whether it was going to be a Bill Belichick, whether it was going to be a Harbaugh, whatever coach there was, it could have been, might be for next year or the year in the future. I think if Jerry Jones is able to let someone coach and be what coach was back in the day, I mean, there's a reason it also took that long for Jimmy to be back for Jimmy Johnson to be put in the Ring of Honor in the first place.
Yeah.
So
there was beef there.
But I think with time, I think that's the issue. So I want to get your thoughts, Landon, in regards to the comment and what I'm saying here. Do you think it's Jerry Jones? Do you think if he's able to finally realize that he doesn't need to be hands-on, he doesn't need to be the king of kings there, that could be the beginning of healing, in a way, the beginning of change, the beginning of something, to let your coach, make the day-to-day operation decisions for the team, and just do big brain stuff in a sense as the owner, and go from there. But what are your thoughts in regards to Jerry Jones?
So that's actually, I alluded to it earlier. And that's not an unpopular sentiment or question from that. I forgot who the person's name was, but it's not. Yeah, Justin. It's not an uncommon question. I get it often, and actually, most of what I find, I call it the vintage Cowboys fans, the guys who are old enough and fortunate enough to have lived through the glory days. I'm not one of those people. I was alive for the last two, but I wasn't obviously old enough to appreciate them. So the Cowboys dynasty was wrapping up right when I was born. So this all predates me. So I just don't have the same appreciation and I guess respect for the way things used to be. But that was a pre-salary cap era. But I'll just say this, man. I know a lot of people believe what Justin is asking to be true. I will tell you, though, and I can verify this with 100% certainty, that Jerry Jones is actually a lot more hands-off than most people realize right now. And once again, I alluded to that earlier in the discussion with it's Will McClay and Stephen Jones that are making most of those decisions. And thank God for us, right? The Jerry Jones is a master salesman. He is a businessman through and through, first and foremost. And he is one of the best to have ever lived on planet Earth at doing that, right? Essentially taking trash and making it treasure. He bought the Cowboys organization for $89 million. Today, it's the most valuable franchise in all of sports. It's worth almost $7 billion. So that tells you all you need to know right there. But he comes, he's the oil industry background, right? That's where he comes from. And, he can sell snow to an Eskimo, right? So that's the thing. But as far as the question goes, Jerry Jones actually even admitted himself that he asked God in 1995 to give him this one last Super Bowl. And then he said if he gave it to him, he would never ask for anything again. And so you could actually spin those words if you want to, a little bit more insidious manner, if you will, and say that Jerry Jones made a proverbial deal with the devil back in 1995. And so there's some spiritual – right. And, there's a level of spiritual, I guess. It's a little bit deeper. That's a lot further below the surface than people are willing to say. But I don't know, man. I don't really necessarily subscribe to all that. Like, I understand why people do, and I'm not saying that they're wrong for doing it. But just for me, I have to operate in good faith and as if the Cowboys have the same chance as anybody else. Ultimately, after February ends and the clock hits zero and we, hit the reset button on a new league year, like I just, you guys see my humble little here. Like, this is what I do, man. So if I don't believe, then what do I have?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's ultimately not really a question that I can answer with certainty, but I can just tell you guys how my brain works, how I operate, whether the Cowboys are actually capable of doing it or not is with him still alive and breathing is to be determined. But what I can tell you for what's 100% certainty is that he is not making most of the day-to-day decisions.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I get that, and I do remember you saying that earlier. It just seems like, at least to me in the last couple of years, that from my understanding, that was not the case, and also that Jerry Jones and how ruthless he can be, seeming that maybe that part of it, being it,
I think he's
putting his
81 right
hands
now,
where
right?
it needs to be. So
Yeah.
that it's an unfortunate thing, right? So I guess him being more hands off is actually obviously a good thing, and good to see and good to hear. So then, if it's not Jerry Jones, if that thing is not as what most people think, right? What do you think is going to be the number one thing Dallas needs to do to change things?
They have to. Well, so I've already been on record saying this too, and they have to figure out how to find guys who are just true get it out the mud warriors that care about winning, right? Because ultimately, as the star turns is a common, it's like a, I don't even know what the word for it is, but it's just like a saying that we have, like as the star turns, right? It's just one of those understood isms that just continues to revolve in a circle, right? It's like ebbs and flows, but it all like it's just this thing right here that keeps happening. So we call it as the star turns, but the Cowboys culture, because of the brand that Jerry Jones has created, just because of the salesman, the businessman that he is, right? It is the most valuable franchise in the world, sports franchise in the world. And with that, players don't have to win to be relevant, right? Jalen Smith became a household name. Why? Because the Cowboys marketed the crap out of him, and because he had a really good year fresh off of having an injury that was supposed to make him never play football again. He had one good bounce back season when he was mostly just used as a blitzer. Like he wasn't even really playing true linebacker. Like he was just rushing the quarterback a lot of times and making splash plays. And so he became a household name. He jumped at the opportunity to get his piece of the pie, as Stephen Jones would say. And yeah, man, good for him. He won. Shout out Jalen Smith, man. He got his money, he got his bread, and he got up out of there. But that just kind of goes to show you, like, you don't have to be relevant, or you don't have to win to be relevant for the Cowboys. And so it's going to be there has to be a concerted effort, and a lot. It's almost like Cowboys content creators unite, like we're rising up right now to sort of spearhead this operation of, hey, we have to be more physical, we have to be tougher, and with that, those two things kind of comes like, hey, winning has to matter most, okay, and then we have to be disciplined, and we weren't any of those three things on Sunday. The talent was there. We had 9 All-Pros. 9 All-Pros on the roster.
Should never. We had 0 Pro Bowlers.
Yeah.
So
there you go. I mean, it just goes to show you the team that's more well coached and prepared, and that executes accordingly and doesn't turn the football over. That's the team that wins. And alongside all those things is it's discipline, it's toughness, and it's physicality, right? That's all lumped into that. But the team that's the most well prepared and that executes that well prepared game plan, right? You guys, we got out coached flat out. Period.
Right.
You guys whooped our ass in that department, in the coaching department. We lost.
Oh yeah,
right.
No doubt.
But then, along with that is you've got to be disciplined, and you can't turn the football over. Right. If 2 interceptions don't occur, that's a much closer game. You guys are sweating for 4 quarters. Right. It's a different story.
Right.
Just what it is. The turnover margin matters. But yeah, that was the difference.
Right.
So
I mean, I know me and AJ had that interaction with that feisty Cowboy fan heading into the game. I was watching a Twitter space of Cowboy fans and was just obviously listening, flying the wall in a way with their I think they had like 40 to 60 listeners, so that was pretty cool for them. But most of them talking about, no sweat. We should be able to beat them down in a sense, the Packers and whatnot. And and all that, which I understand, respect, I get it. I, in my infinite wisdom and belief, never thought neither team was going to blow the other out. It wasn't going to be a blowout. But it was interesting in regards to watching that Dallas Cowboy fan group or a group of people, which was with your co-host Nick's hosting it.
Were you talking about Twitter Spaces?
Yeah, Space. But hey, you are coming into a game. Had a great season. You're facing up against, a rookie in regards to playoffs, playing in the playoffs, with Jordan Love, and all that. But but all in all, it was interesting interacting with them, but also was interesting, I was interacting with some of them out during the game, but it's great to have you on here, to talk about the game that was. I know people have to go now. It is getting late. So what I'm going to do is just steamroll through what was the wild card round as I do. So what was a lot of blowouts. First, we had the Texans over the Browns, 45-14. The Chiefs over the Dolphins in that game, 26-7. Packers over the Cowboys, 48-32. The Lions over the Rams in the game of the week, 44-23. Bills over Steelers, 31-17, and Buccaneers over the Eagles, 32-9. I know AJ has stuff to do, so AJ, I'm going to give you the floor. We got Texans, Ravens, Packers, 49ers, Buccaneers, Lions, Chiefs, Bills. I'll let you run the board as you got to go, and what you thought and what you want to say, and obviously the predictions for each game.
I'll start in the AFC. Starting with the Chiefs, or not the Chiefs. I'll start with the Texans, Ravens. It feels like the year for Lamar and Baltimore. Being from Ohio, I'm a diehard Ohio State fan just as well. So seeing CJ Stroud ball the way he has makes me very happy. I want to say the Texans really badly just because they're a team like Green Bay that is playing with house money, and they're in many ways just like Green Bay. I feel like they got these young guys, house money, nothing to lose in these games. I'm gonna lead towards Baltimore in a really close one. They played really early in the season, and it was kind of close. And the Texans' defense isn't great, but they kind of held them. And as of late, they've been playing really well, giving CJ even more of a chance to win these games. But I'm going to lead towards Baltimore. I would like to see the Texans win, though. Heading over to the other game, Chiefs Buffalo. I think this is the year for Josh. I think he finally knocks off Patty in the playoffs. I like the Bills in this one. I think the Chiefs played, honestly, their best game of the season this past week against the Dolphins. The Dolphins were struggling. Tua was struggling with that weather and everything, cold. But I like the Bills this week. And instead of going into Arrowhead, you got Patrick coming into Buffalo. Those fans are going to be amped. That place is going to be crazy. I'm going to go with Buffalo. And then heading over to the NFC, I'll start with the other game, the Bucs Lions. I'm going to pick the Bucs. I'm picking the Bucs because I want the Bucs to win just for if Green Bay wins. I love what Baker's done. I feel for Baker. What he's going through this year and what he's going through his whole career. I think what he's doing right now is awesome. And I think they have a great chance of going into Detroit and upsetting them. That defense isn't great. Tampa is able to stop the run. They got Vita Vea clogged up the whole middle. If you make Jared Goff have to beat you, I think you got a shot. Detroit will be crazy. There's no doubt. Those fans, they deserve this, what they're getting right now. But I would love for Baker to take it away from them. Just NFC North team, get him out of there. Hopefully Baker can do it. I'm going to pick the Bucs. And then, like I've said for the past couple of weeks, just because I don't want us to lose, I'm the sole reason we lose games because I picked Green Bay to win games. So I'm not doing that. I think the last week I did pick Green Bay to win was the Giants game, and they somehow lost to Tommy DeVito. So I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be that person. I think Green Bay can win this game. I'm just going to pick San Francisco. just for good juju this week. So, yeah, man, those are my picks for this week, and go Pack, go.
All right. Sounds good. Always great to have you, AJ, and have fun in classes.
See you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. But you can follow him on Twitter at AJ Elizillo, all of the social medias as well, Instagram and whatnot, even I think TikTok as well. But yeah, I guess Mary, if you want yourself in regards to going through the playoff matchups, who do you have in regards to your picks?
Okay, so I'm gonna back up answer about the Cowboys because I didn't get the answer.
Okay.
So no, screw that. I'm gonna skip that. My mom and I were freaking out with the Darnell Savage pick, like screaming around the house, running around the house, and everything. It was a fun day. It was super fun. I'm not gonna lie, beating the Cowboys. And I'm happy that we beat the home streak that we had going on, or that they had going on. And that was it. Lando, I wanted to let you know I sent Matt Ramage your ad earlier.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, once he follows me,
okay.
I'll be sure to hit him up with a follow
Him and I
back.
talk behind the scenes, kind of.
Cool. Thank you.
And I also followed you.
Oh, you follow me too? Okay, well, what's your handle? I'll follow you
for
back.
my picks,
I gave you the list,
I have the
Lando.
Packers.
Okay.
Landon.
I see it. Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
I like Jordan.
Yeah. It's a long one. Yep.
It's the one with the cheese. With the cheese head. Hey.
All right.
So I have the Packers. Oh shoot. I have the Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson's gonna have a great game. Oh shoot. I have the Lions, but after thinking about it, I kind of want to see the Bucs because, as AJ said, I also live like 2.5 hours away from Tampa, so that should be fun with that game. And I have the Bills. I like Russell Douglas. I know he didn't play last week, but I'm confident in the Bills, the Buffalo Bills, and Josh Allen beating Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, me too. I just want to share this again in regards to Justin's picks. In regards to his predictions for the title games, Bills, Ravens, and Packers, Lions, that'd be pretty cool. For me, I got the Packers getting the win over the Niners, 17-13, as I said earlier. In regards to the Lions, Buccaneers game, that for me is game of the week here with these two. And in the end, going to go with the Lions to get the win there and for them to be able to continue on their Cinderella story, right? And then I also do have the Texans. So the Lions over the Buccaneers, 27-24. Packers over the Niners, 17-13. Texans over the Ravens, 27-10. And the Bills over the Chiefs, 42-35. I have that one being the shootout in the game of the week, really, at least predicting game of the week. So that's my prediction. It's your prediction. Mary, if you want, before we finally go, welcome to let people know, find you social media, your podcast, and all the other stuff that you wish to share and say.
Yeah, I can for sure say whatever I want kind of right now. It's been a lot with the podcast, man. And I'll text you about that Friday. Because, wait, am I allowed to say it? I can say it, right? It's confirmed?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So, I'm going to say it right now. Okay, I didn't know. So, I'm going to have Steve and my co-host Justin on for Fridays. I think it's going to be recorded at this moment. Because StreamYard still hates me. Sorry, StreamYard. Love you. And then tomorrow night on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, Mary 90118710 will be live with Emily. Like Steve said, she's going to be on next week and another person. And it's going to be fun. We're going to be talking about the Packers and life and stuff. But yeah, you can follow me at Mac Podcast 2023. Thank you for that. The podcast is right there, and we're trying to reach 50 subscribers. So if you look up on YouTube, Mac Podcast 365, I think it is, on YouTube, you would be able to find it. We are so close to reaching the mile marker to going live on YouTube, and we can go live on X.
Yeah, see, I
And you can
forgot
find me
about
on
that
Twitter.
even because I know I had that in the
Got that.
beginning. Yeah. So, but no, you guys have a great show. I know I enjoyed the latest episodes. You yourself having Matt on, Matt Ramage, and others lately. So I look forward to being on there Friday, recorded otherwise. So, yeah, everybody check her out there. Of course, on Twitter and otherwise. Like I said, check AJ out, the other co-host, AJ Eller0, and all social medias. Of course, also Landon being a great guest representing the Dallas Cowboys at the Lando show, as you saw him on his handle in a sense here on the show there, on his name badge there, the Lando show. Find him there, a great guy. Subscribe to his channel, as I just did. Ring the bell as you do subscribe here, and ring the bell. Leave a comment in the comment section below if you're watching this archived. If you're listening to this on Spotify, I guess you could leave a review. I don't know exactly how Spotify works, but beyond just listening to it, be listening to episodes. But I think all those listeners and viewers, of course, like I said, for the viewers, I do my helmets each and every week, as I will for next week, whether the Packers make it or not. But I'm looking forward to this game. Hopefully we can get the win. Hope everybody has a great rest of your evening. And above all else, as always, take care.